Well, welcome to week 9 of the college football season. For the Coach Nofri Show, as always, joined by the head coach of Sacred Heart Football, Mark Nofri, coming off the big conference victory on the road in New Britain against CCSU, 28-25. Comes down to a last-second field goal attempt. You guys bend but don't break. But most importantly, you get it done kind of in all facets. You got some health back and some of your playmakers back on the field, and you were at pretty close to full strength and showed what you could do against a team that won 8 straight conference games and the defending champs. How big was this win?
Well, anytime you play the defending champs, and they were preseason favorites, and like you said, they won 8 in a row. They're a great football team. Coach Rossomano's done a great job up there. They're the team to beat, obviously, because they won it last year. And we went up there, and at halftime we had to regroup a little bit and come together as a team and kind of talk about some of the mistakes that we made in the first half and bring it together. And we did. Our kids, it was a hard-fought win, and it was a great football game between 2 good football teams. And we came out on top, and it was an exciting game to watch if you're a fan of football. But I'm very proud of my guys. I'm proud of the team, the way they hung together, the way they battled. They got that never-quit attitude. And the second half, we were able to put some points on the board and shut them down on the offensive side and came out with a win, and that's all you can ask for.
I mean, besides the statistical lift you obviously got from the return of both Kevin Duke and Andrew O'Neal, it had to be an emotional lift, I would imagine, for everybody to get those guys back on the field, the leaders of this team. And all Duke did was throw for 375 yards and 3 touchdowns, 2 of them to Andrew O'Neal, who had 10 catches, maybe the catch of the year, SportsCenter top 10 play. I mean, seeing those guys back out there together, what does that do for your team?
Well, it's a huge emotional lift. You're talking about 2 captains that had missed last week, and Andrew had been out since the Cornell game. But they're great kids. They're leaders. They're competitors. They're fifth-year seniors. They've been through this. They got the respect of their peers, and people feed off of that. And, you talk about having some of the other starters back. We had Pat Lukert back, inside linebacker. Bob Steffi came back, who probably played one of his best games in 4 years for us on the defensive line. Nakeem Lewis, our right guard, had been out for 2 games. He's huge when he came back. Again, to get those guys back and to see everybody feed off their energy. And, obviously I'm not saying they're 100% healthy, but, they're going to go. And to see how tough they are and pushing through it and being out there, it lifts up your teammates to show them, hey, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get on the field to go to war with my teammates. And they did that, and it's a huge emotional lift. But I think Andrew O'Neal probably had his best game as a receiver for us. 10 catches, 170 yards, and you talk about the SportsCenter top 10 catch. I think the second touchdown he caught was one of the ones where the ball was thrown behind him and he caught it one-handed, split the defenders and went in the end zone. So it was a great day. It was a great day for us, and I'm extremely proud of these kids.
When you're mixing the passing game with the running game, it makes you obviously a much more effective offense. And Jordan Meacham has been rock solid all year. Another 100-yard game. What does it do when he gets going and he can chew up some yards on the ground? And he also caught 4 catches because he's a weapon out of the backfield as part of the receiving corps as well.
Yeah, he's probably our most complete football player. I mean, I probably, if I had to, could put him on defense and he can do something there for you as well. But, Jordan does a great job. I mean, he gets those yards tough, hard, and he cuts on a dime. You can flex him out and throw him balls. Like you said, last week he had 100 yards on the ground, and I think he had 70-something, catching the ball and receiving it. He could also return kicks, return punts. We like to use him everywhere, but you also got to save him a little bit too because you don't want him to do everything. But he's a complete football player and one of our better guys. And I couldn't be happier to see the success he's had this year so far for us, and kind of makes our offense go, and it's another weapon for us.
Well, I imagine there's always something you could clean up. And I know the penalties didn't sit well with you. 12 penalties for about a football field and a half worth of penalties, especially some untimely ones when they came. How was that addressed this week?
Well, it's been addressed every week since game 1. We do things on Sunday to correct that or try and correct it. And it's disappointing at times. And, I talk to the team like you never want to put the game in the hands of an official. It's our own fault, and you can sit there and argue the call all you want, but it's not going to change on the field. So we have to do a better job and become more disciplined in terms of how we play. I know you can play physical and you can play fast and you can lock in and execute, but you got to cut down on the mistakes because here we are with 4 games to go, all conference play, and these games are going to determine if you win the NEC and if you go to the NCAA playoffs. And to do that, we have to clean up the mistakes that we're making and hurting ourselves. It's hard enough to win a college football game against another opponent, but when you're playing the opponent and yourself and you're fighting that penalty and the mistakes that you make, it makes it even harder to win a football game. So hopefully it's fixed this week.
All right, so we're sitting here at 2-0, your team is, in conference. Obviously, you had the tough non-conference schedule. Do you guys think you're better for it as you kind of took that experience from those tough games into a battle against CCSU? And you're going to take that experience into next week or this upcoming week with Bryant. Just kind of your thoughts on how the season has played out to this point and where you sit going into the Bryant game.
Well, obviously you don't want to be 4-3. You'd like to be 7-0 overall, but we are sitting at 2-0 in conference, which is a plus, and that's important to us. But again, the non-conference games are big. I mean, they're just as important to me as a regular league game, because to me, I look at the overall record, and you want to continue to have success and produce winning records. But obviously, the ultimate goal is to win an NEC championship and to go to the FCS playoffs, and we have that ability to do that. We're sitting at 2-0, but we have a lot of work ahead of us. There's 4 games coming up versus 4 very good opponents. We have not beaten Bryant since 2015, I believe, or 16. 2015 we lost to them in 16 and 17. They're a good football team. They got one of the best offenses in the country, not alone the NEC. And it's always a battle with those guys. So, you can't look ahead, because then you're going to look at Robert Morris, Duquesne, St. Francis. So the last 4 games are very tough. We got to look at this week and play Bryant and focus on that task at hand. We need to take care of business before we go worrying about somebody else. And they're a good football team, and they got a lot of weapons, and we got our work cut out for us, and hopefully our kids will be ready to go and we can execute.
So very quickly, keys this week against Bryant.
1, probably stopping the quarterback and the 2 receivers. Number 2 and number 11 is back. And then on offense, we got to be able to run the ball again. And 32, the linebacker, number 1, their pass rushing end is pretty good. But if we can control the line of scrimmage, run the ball, and stop the quarterback and 2 receivers, we'll be okay.
Very good. Good luck this week.
Thank
we
you.
look forward
Appreciate
to it,
it,
Coach. All right, Coach Nofri joining us as he always does on the Coach Nofri Show. 1 o'clock Saturday. It's family weekend. We look forward to seeing all the families out at Campus Field for Bryant and Sacred Heart. Always a rivalry. Always a great game. We'll see you then. And if you can't make it, the game will be on ESPN3.